So tell me about Team South Africa here. You mentioned Sheryl Sandberg. Yeah. She's taken over the museum, the Kirchner Museum where South Africa used to be. It's Davos light for South Africa this year. In previous years, you've trotted out ministers, you've trotted out South African delegates. Has there been much CNN interest in South Africa this year?
I think South Africa is here. They've tried to put scarves around my neck on numerous occasions. They've tried to interest me in discussing things, but it's not got the same profile as it has in previous years. And that might be economic. They just don't feel they can afford to spend the money to come here and do it. It might arguably be they just don't see the need to do it. But at the end of the day, there's no point in coming here to say, invest in me, if you haven't got the policies worthy of it.
Well, 2 years ago, Cyril Ramaphosa came as the delegation leader, and it was a little bit like having Nelson Mandela back here again. Everybody wanted to touch his cloak. Yeah, but it's not like that
2
anymore.
years ago. Well, since then, we've discovered just how awful the state-owned capture was of enterprises. Now, this is one of those few subjects where Pravin Gordhan says, if you think it was bad, I'm telling you it was worse. Now, you tell me how anybody who for the last 5 years, 10 years, has come here and said, South Africa's going really well, we've got everything under control, we've got this, that and the other, suddenly turned around and said, well, actually, the entire economy was hijacked, by the way, and we're terribly sorry to tell you that the losses are in the billions. Well, actually, we really don't know the trillions. And by the way, even if it was bad, it was worse. And we're not even sure we've dealt with it.
And so in order to be taken seriously here again, we really need a big fat broom and some chains and some prison time.
Well, how many people have gone to prison so far?
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that point. On to other things. I mean, you're a big fan of airlines. You like to travel the world. You do shows from airlines. Mm-hmm. SAA, I don't know if you've ever flown SAA, if you've ever had the joy.
Of course I have, an excellent airline.
What's your view on the turnaround there?
Well, first of all, the idea of causing a business emergency, which basically means they're out of money. Yep. Secondly, the amount of money that the South African government has to put into the airline is a simply staggering amount. And thirdly, unless there is a proper restructuring, proper means government hands off. Yep. Properly means let an airline person run the airline. But otherwise, you've got to ask the question, why not just shut it down?
Or give it to another African airline to run with a tail.
No, that's shutting it down. Mm. If you look at what Malaysia's options are at the moment, similarly, at the end of the day, for South African airlines to remain profitable, or not remain profitable, to become profitable, is going to require the most drastic restructuring. And even then it might not. Even then it might not.
Is it worth having a go? With a proper board, proper CEO in place, is it worth having a go?
Of course it's worth having a go, but I'm telling you that'll never happen. I'm telling you the government can't keep its hands off it. I'm telling you politicians cannot stop interfering in airlines. They've done it for decades in South Africa. They will continue to do it for decades more. Until they hive it off, put it in the private sector, sell it to another airline, or shut it down and let somebody else come in who can run an airline. You're just going to have to accept the government will have to pay money. That's fine if that's what the policy is going to be. If that's what your policy is, that's okay. But please, don't try and pretend you're restructuring when actually all you're doing is moving the check chairs on the Titanic.
How does that then go to the credibility of the South African government at a place like this where it can't make those hard decisions?
What credibility? I mean, the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, he came in knowing that South Africa's government has minuscule credibility following the Zuma years and the state the capture of state-owned enterprises. You can't suddenly whitewash it away like you're cleaning a wall. People here, look, don't get me wrong though, the opportunities in South Africa are huge. The potential is enormous. The labour force is fantastic. But you cannot just turn around to people and say, oh, by the way, don't worry about that nasty little business where trillions were siphoned off in a very corrupt environment, of which, by the way, I was a member of the government at the time. I was a member. I see nothing, saw nothing, heard nothing.
Richard Quest in Davos, thank you very much.
Thank you.